Hello everyone, Ace here, and today let's talk a little bit about, of all things, Halo Studios, previously known as 343 Industries, which is currently now facing layoffs, immediately following the release of Halo Campaign Evolved, and the, let's be honest, less than stellar performance, not only from what the audience feels about the game, but also in terms of its sales performance as well. Basically, the game flopped and was a massive disappointment to everyone, so it's not surprising to see layoffs occur as a result. Make a mediocre or disappointing product, and proceed to face the consequences for doing so, after all. And mediocre is a very apt way to describe Halo Campaign Evolved, especially when there are other superior ways to play Halo. One thing that is curious in this story, though, is how quickly the layoffs have begun. Campaign Evolved has been out for only a little over a week at this point, and normally, most of the money gets made within 2 weeks, and that's usually when overall performance is determined and judged by major publishers. It would appear in the case of Campaign Evolved that the performance has been so abysmal that it's not even worth bothering to wait the full 2 weeks before making the people responsible face the consequences. Considering how AAA publishers haven't exactly been doing the best, deciding to streamline and speed up the process in order to cut losses does make some practical sense there. On the other hand, if there is any major Western AAA publisher out there that is currently weathering the storm, it's most likely Microsoft specifically that's at the very top of that list. The company does at least appear to be doing better than its competition, at least when it comes to Western AAA publishers. Ubisoft is pretty much on its last legs, EA's been bought out by Saudi Arabia, and Activision has been bought by Microsoft, as has Bethesda. At this point, the only major AAA publisher that Microsoft has as competition is Take-Two. You know, assuming you don't count Valve and Lord Gaben. All of this is to say that Microsoft's in a fairly decent state as far as the market share. So when the game performs so poorly that even they decide to speed up the process and not wait the full 2 weeks before doing the layoffs, that's probably a pretty clear admission of failure as far as the overall performance of Halo Campaign Evolved is concerned. Again, it's not exactly a surprise that the game flopped. It's outright inferior to what we got over a quarter of a century ago, and it's also not a surprise that the layoffs have occurred because, again, the incompetence that has been put on display has been such that they put out a remaster, or rather a full-on remake, that manages to be inferior to what existed a quarter of a century ago. Layoffs were going to be inevitable at that point once the game flopped. It's just curious to see how quickly Microsoft has determined it to be a flop, and thus proceed to act in accordance with that judgment. On the other hand, though, this is Halo, their poster child, so proceeding to see it get so thoroughly mauled might have something to do with how quickly their wrath has been incurred.